Children are the most beautiful human beings on earth. When we think of children, the first thing that comes to our mind is their innocence, their happiness, and let us not forget they are also very naughty. Do they have their own world? Do adults enter into their world, or do we also plan and prepare them for a common world? When we think of children, we also should keep in mind their intelligence levels, their genetic base, the environment in which they are nurtured and grown, and we also should not forget that it is very natural for young children to be very distractive and aggressive also. An attempt has been made to look into children's various moods, behaviors, individual differences, not only in doing certain things in formal situations, but also in informal situations. The first thing, they have been prepared to go to school. Since babyhood, a mother starts teaching the baby how to respond to different stimuli. So, responding to a stimuli becomes part of the baby's life. That slowly grows into different kinds of responses, responding to different individuals at different paces. It becomes very natural for the baby. Once it starts growing into a early childhood child, it also becomes very normal for the child to behave differently to different situations and different people. Let us look at this assembly. It is a very formal situation. Every child in the school knows that she or he has to attend the assembly. Though they belong to the same age group, though they have the same purpose of attending school, learning something from the teachers, learning something from the peers, look at the way they behave differently, look at the way how they respond differently. Though the stimulus is the same, the responses given are different. How beautiful it is. We should be wondering why it happens. It happens because they are unique. They are individualistic in nature. They are unique to themselves. You can't find the same child with same characteristics in this whole world when we search with a microscope also. So, we have to accept the individual differences, and we start looking at children, we should feel that it is very natural for them to behave differently and show their individuality and individual differences either positively or negatively. Look at this situation. It is a very free play. The children of this age group should be encouraged to play. Actually, the children are engaged in most of the time in two kinds of play. One is solitary play and another one is a group play. In schools, mostly in school situations, mostly it so happens that they are engaged in group play. We may be wondering why a play is a very integral part of their schooling. Play is a situation, play is a kind of, it's been used by schools as a mode of learning. Through play, they learn how to behave in a group. They learn how to share certain things with their own classmates. They also learn how to lead certain things. You can see that child taking the first lead and trying to take another child along with her. So, a play is a beautiful mode through which they can express their positive feelings, and they can also learn the social behavior of how to share, how to get help, and how to help the other children. Look at the teacher. She has to be a very patient person, especially when adults, we interact with very young children. We need to be very patient. We also have to be quite active and creative also, because their responses to, as I have told you earlier, to single similar stimulus is going to be multidimensional and different. So, unless and until the adult is very creative, she won't be able to satisfy that individual differential need. It's an individual differential need that needs to be addressed. So, play is the best mode through which that need can be satisfied. Once that need is satisfied, the child, the very young child, the innocent child who appears to be sometimes little aggressive, will grow into a potential leader. Look at this puzzle making exercise. Let us observe this situation. Though the children are engaged in a group activity, independent learning is happening. Each child is given something to play with, participate and learn. This is where the adults need to be very, very alert. This is where the opportunity for the child to learn as well as get deviated also happens. Unless and until we are very alert, we are following what kind of learning is happening, how the child is proceeding and doing things at its own pace is a must to be observed and kept in mind. Children do engage in these kinds of activities for personal satisfaction also. We feel we are trying to help them learn, but actually such young children, when they do this, when they engage themselves in these kinds of activities, personal satisfaction like that emotional, they also feel secured sometimes and they feel happy, they feel as if they have achieved something. Achievement is something that the child has to taste from this stage onwards. This is the best stage where adults can create that environment where every child feels that the child has done something by its own self and achieved something at its own pace. I am referring to two things. One is the pace and another is achievement. Achievement needs to be, the child should be driven towards the achievement, towards the goal, to get it, hold on to it, to the things that the child has to do. Suppose the child has to complete the puzzle, sometimes it may not be able to do within the given time. So, the parent or the teacher needs to be little careful in helping the child to go through that process of achieving that goal. That means, suppose the child is failing in setting in things, the child has to be told how to keep the things in place. Suppose the child does not understand the directions, maybe the teacher need to give the directions again. It is all through observation and doing and redoing the child will achieve the success. So, helping the child to achieve the little success within the given time is a must. The adult should keep that in mind while helping the child. This is where I feel we intervene in the child's life and the world. Suppose we try to set the pace, then the childlike behavior will vanish from that situation. So, unless and until we are conscious about the child's pace and its own interests, we will be accelerating the pace unnecessarily and making the child make much more mistakes. So, observing children in doing activities, we can also enjoy their moods. Some will be doing it too seriously, some will be smiling away, some will be taking the other one, and then some will also be gaping at the teacher sometimes, which is a very rare thing for an adult to enjoy and relish also. Oh, they are having food. Food is something which children love, and that is where they do not even want sometimes the adults' interference. It so happened, I have asked the children of it so happened that I happened to go to a class where the children are very, very naughty. You see, the teacher was not able to control the children. I took a small apple in one hand and a banana in another hand, and I went running around the classroom. You know what they did? They stopped being talkative and started asking why I came to the class, whether I am going to give that banana and the apple to them, whether they can eat that at that moment. Food is something that children love, You give them at any time, they grab it and eat it and enjoy it. Sometimes they don't like adult interference while they are eating, but as I have told you earlier, though the child's life is different from an adult's life, we need to intervene sometimes with such an ease so that the child feels that we are also part of that world. This is where we have to teach children how they have to eat, the posture, the way they have to eat, and at times, if required, maybe they need to share with others. This is a typical classroom learning situation where children are engaged in writing. Look at the way they are seated. Though, as I told you earlier, though they belong to the same age group, they do show various expressions on their face while writing. Writing is something children do hate even from childhood. You know why? Because we engage them in monotonous way of writing. They hate to write. They love to jump. They like to participate. They like to do things on their own, but they hate to sit in a place and write. The most important, I can say, the method of engaging them in writing is giving them a challenge, challenging them. Show them a teddy bear, we can show them and say, look at the teddy bear, that will be quiet till you complete your work. Suppose you don't complete your work, it will also start jumping around, disturbing you. A teacher's role is very effective and very essential. It should be directive, it should be also be friendly. As I told you, children do resist writing, so we have to motivate them, get them ready to write. Once they are ready, then they will take off from there. The writing activity will happen in a very natural way. Let us not forget, they will fidget, they will also resist. Sometimes suddenly they shout, sometimes they say, I don't want to write, I want to sit. It's better we ignore such comments, we ignore such behavior and give little time for them to come back. Then we say, oh, it's okay, please carry on with your task of writing. This is a very interesting activity where the adult, that is the teacher, is trying to get the information from children. As far as the learning is concerned, there is a stage where they try to understand the concepts. There is also a stage where they try to spell out the concepts and maybe they had to recall the concepts. So, learning a concept, understanding it, assimilating it, internalizing it is, while it is 2-3 stages, trying to recall it and show it through performance is also equally important. That is what is happening here. She is trying to find out whatever they have learnt earlier, what are the things that is happening, what is it that they are able to see in real life situations that has been shown there in a model. Children need to be encouraged. Let us not forget, as adults, they need to be encouraged to question. Questioning is the most important and critical tool that we need to give it to children. Sometimes, not only sometimes, most of the occasions, in most of the occasions, we adults, we misunderstand and we feel whenever a child is asking, we feel it is misbehavior. Questioning is the most important cognitive tool. Through questioning, they try to understand. Okay, what do they question? How should they question? We may wonder. They need to question whatever they see around themselves. They need to question when they have a confusion. A child should be encouraged to question when they don't understand. Unless and until this trait or this skill is encouraged and made it a habit among children, they find it very difficult when they go to higher classes, when they come to the later stage of adolescence. Look at the way the teacher is questioning. So, through questioning, the children are understanding what they have already internalized and they are trying to bring it out and spell it out and tell her with lot of expressions. So, questioning need to be made, questioning should be given as a tool to children. Okay, we have seen so many things happening and where the adult is acting like a friend, like a guide, also like a adult who is obvious, who knows about what to do and when to do. How beautiful to see children engaged in different activities. We think once they are sent to school, they are spending their time mostly in learning. Learning is also multidimensional. The way they participate, the way they engage themselves with their peer group as well as adults is very interesting to observe. We can also learn many things. So, as parents, we have to keep in mind two things. One is prepare this very young child how to behave, how to participate, how to question, how to clarify, how to share, how to learn in the preschool where the child is sent to. As a parent, it is also very important for us to get the feedback. We have to get the feedback from the adult teachers, the teachers who are the surrogate parents there. So, we have to go and get the feedback from them. This feedback needs to be dovetailed into the process of learning, so that the young child, the very young child, should be told what to do, what not to do in the preschool or in the formal learning situations. To support this formal learning situation, the home should be turned into an informal learning situations. Even parents, we can also engage these children in group activities at home. The mother, father and the child can be made to enact a small play or engage in a reading activity, so that the child finds, these young children feel the continuity in the learning process. The school is nothing but an extension of the home. The home is nothing but an extension of the school. Then only there will be a continuity between the adult-child relationship and the two zones, two places of learning. One is a school, another is home. There will be a continuity for the child. It will become very easy for the child to share, to grow, to develop into a beautiful human being. We have to strive towards making these very young children grow into beautiful, young and then understanding human beings. So, this is a small attempt that has been made to focus through into that age group and see how they learn, how they behave, how a adult-child interaction is happening.